Good morning, class 12, and welcome to today's English language class. In today's class, we take up directed writing or report writing. As you would recall, your English language paper, that is paper 1 of 3 hours, has 4 questions. The first question is where you will be required to attempt a composition on any one of a number of subjects. Question 2 has two parts, a part A and part B, where part A is directed writing based on suggested points and part B is proposal writing based on a given situation. Question 3 has short answer questions to test grammar, structure, and usage. Question 4 is based on a comprehension passage where you will be required to answer questions, give meanings, and also attempt a summary. Question 2a is known as directed writing because in this question you are given suggested points which serve as directions to you. Secondly, it is known as an exercise on amplification because candidates are expected to amplify on the given points in order to write a full-fledged report. This exercise is also called a composition based on points, where you are required to elaborate on each and every one of the suggested points which are given. Though these points are given to you, your report must be written in paragraph form. As I have already pointed out to you, directed writing is also known as an exercise on amplification based on suggested points. In question 2a, you might be asked to write on any one of the following, whether it is a newspaper report, a feature article, a speech, a book review, film review, a review of a cultural program, statement of purpose, or even a personal profile. Though you have already written reports last year, and I'm sure you have read innumerable reports and articles in various magazines and newspapers, I would just like to recapitulate by telling you that a report is an account of an event or series of events or a summary of the conclusions to be drawn from a survey or set of statistics. You might produce a report for the school magazine or a newspaper. You need to be logical and accurate and have the ability to prune your words down to a minimum. A well written report must indicate the issue it deals with, and it must have a logical arrangement of facts. The reasoning must be convincing and appropriately expressed. The arguments may be arranged properly, and it must have definite and clear recommendations. A haphazard arrangement will make the report less intelligible and reduce its force. When writing a report of this nature, whether for the newspaper or magazine, there are of course some points you need to remember. Firstly, the key to writing a successful report is to organize your facts clearly. To do this in a proper manner, you will have to, of course, read the suggested points very clearly and then decide in which order you would like to include it into your report. The paragraphs of a report should be shorter than they usually are when you are writing stories or essays. This helps the reader to assess the information quickly. Thirdly, a report is written for a particular readership, whether in the magazine for a school or in the newspaper. Make sure you make a note of who your readership is before you start. Next, make it a point to write a report in third person. A report should also address 6 basic questions: who, what, where, why, how, when. And finally, a report usually follows the following order. This, of course, can vary. Firstly, the summary of the event, the background leading to the event, return to the immediate situation, response of those involved, and finally, the conclusion. Keep these points in mind in order to write a good, comprehensive report. The newspaper report starts with the most important idea. The most important information comes first. Subsequently, the next important bit of information comes, and so on. This is called the inverted pyramid style. Notice in the picture, first comes who, what, when, where, that is to be included in the beginning of your report, and subsequently you are to amplify on why and how. Since the purpose of a newspaper report is to make the information clear to the readers, it deals strictly with the subject, and there is no room for your personal comments or any direct address to the reader. News reports are straightforward. They are written in a simple style that uses shorter and simpler sentences than any other kinds of writing. It starts with a headline. Keep in mind that this headline may be given to you in the question, or you may be asked to come up with a headline of your own. It often contains written records or interviews which are reported word for word. This means that you will be required to include quotations in your newspaper report. As an example, today we discuss a newspaper report on the following topic. Write a report titled Furious Fire Destroys Marketplace using the following points: date, time, place, kind of market, approximate number of shops, shops affected, loss of life and property, rescue operation, eyewitness account, and probe. As you are already aware, the piece of directed writing will be based on the information and ideas provided. The required length will be around 300 words, and you are required to write your report in formal language. You must begin your newspaper report with a headline. Lucky for you, in this question, your headline has been provided to you, which is Furious Fire Destroys Marketplace. This headline is to be written in the middle of your page. Below that, you are to write your byline. Your byline is who is writing this report. So, by a staff reporter, the byline is to be written a bit off the center towards the right. Following your byline comes your date line. For example, Kolkata, April 25, 2020. Once you write your dateline, you are to begin your report immediately after putting in a colon, and as I have already mentioned, your report is to be written in paragraph form. In case you are confused about how to begin your report, you can use the simple formula of writing what has happened, where and when. You must give a credible idea so that people can believe what is written. From the very onset of your report, you must try to tackle as many of the suggested points as possible. In your introduction itself, you can easily manage to tackle the matter of date, time, place, kind of market, approximate number of shops, and shops affected. For example, in your kind of market, you can write that it was a garment market. The approximate number of shops in the market could include 150 shops. Number of shops affected could be 120 out of 150 shops, implying that there would be massive destruction. In the next paragraph of your report, you can go on to address the matter of the why and the how. In this paragraph, you can easily tackle the points of the loss to life and property, the rescue operations that followed, the eyewitness account, and subsequently the matter of the probe. For example, in the loss of life and property, you can write, since the fire broke out in the wee hours of the morning, not many people were around, so there was not much loss of life. However, there was massive loss of property since 120 of 150 shops were affected. In the rescue operations, you can write that the fire brigade started the rescue operation as soon as they arrived on the scene. They tried to manage the situation by using water, sand. Subsequently, when writing about the eyewitness account, you must write within quotation marks, directly quoting either a shopkeeper or a bystander or someone who reported the fire or some neighbor who is living close by. And finally, in your probe, you can say that the government has ordered a probe. You can even say that in all probability, this fire was as a result of faulty wiring. Okay? You may include details on your own. However, make sure that in your attempt to include additional information, you are not forgetting to tackle the points that have been given to you. Keep in mind that every point has specific marks allotted to it. Remember, as I have already mentioned, you may change the sequence of the points, but there should be some justification in doing so. Additionally, your language ought to be formal, it should be precise, and make sure that you are not breaking up your report into an unnecessary number of paragraphs. Paragraphs do, of course, make your writing appear neater and better and more concise, but that doesn't mean you begin to write paragraphs merely of one line each. After attempting the introduction, your body can be roughly of 2 paragraphs, and then you can write a conclusion, where your conclusion should not be something where you are writing your personal feelings or emotions towards the event. Keep in mind, this is a formal report to be written in precise language, and nobody wants to know your emotions or your take on the matter. Alright? Your emotions should not just be free flowing in your report, because that is not what is required of you in a newspaper report. You can read any newspaper report and you will see how formal, how precise the language is. And that is exactly what is expected of you. With this, we come to the end of today's discussion on the newspaper report. Next, we go on to discuss speech writing. When writing a speech, the following steps will help you feel confident in the writing process. First, collect all the relevant information on the topic and write accordingly. Secondly, write exactly what you want to convey to the audience. As Winston Churchill said, if you have an important point to make, don't try to be subtle or clever. Use a pile driver. Hit the point once, then come back and hit it again. Then hit it a third time with a tremendous whack. The introduction of the speech should immediately let the audience, that is the readers, know what to expect from the speech. Then go on to elaborate what it said in the introduction, proving it with examples. Make an apt conclusion to your speech by including a strong affirmative statement. When writing your speech, if in the question it is mentioned that you are the head boy or head girl of your school, then make sure that in your speech you are including this point about who you are as well. With this, we come to the end of today's class. I end today's class with this video clip I have attached to the video on how to write a great speech. In the speech, remember that you will also be given the suggested points. But just to help you, given here is an interesting video on simple ways in which you can make your speech more interesting. Apart from the points mentioned in the video, you will have to obviously include the suggestions which are written in question 2A if at all you have to write a speech. Thank you, girls. I hope you have a great day and do stay safe.